I mean, why would he?
Why would he? You know?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that. So. Okay. Okay.
So then, Patrick. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Very nice to see such a good turnout for our town hall this evening. Is David Chafe here? Yeah. I was actually going to take a picture and send it to you, so I'm glad you're here.
Marketing.
So thanks everybody for coming. My name is Jen Windsor, and I'm Programs and Communications with MusicNL.
I'm Bonnie Fedro, the Executive Director of MusicNL.
So, we have Patrick O'Keefe here, who is just pretty much the jack of all trades at MusicNL. He's a chief cook and bottle washer. But he's awesome, and can we get a hand for Patrick, who scrambles and finds cables at last minute? Also, hello to everybody who's tuning in online on our YouTube channel. We're getting all super fancy again with thanks to Patrick. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Remember to leave your questions underneath, and we'll try our best to get to them. Get the reason why we're here. We're all here to learn about the new funding programs that MusicNL just announced last week. We did a ton of work with different committees and groups and our board. We did our very first town hall session was based on our funding programs, getting feedback from you guys. We also did surveys and interviewed members, things of the sort. So we did a lot of work with these changes. We really hope that you members see the benefits in these changes, and that they were for the better. We think that they are, because we worked very hard. Also, these changes are different to us too. So it's going to be, there might be questions that are going to come out in the crowd that might be something that we never thought of before, or an angle that we didn't consider. So no question is a stupid question. So please ask away, and we'll try our best to answer it. And maybe it could even be something that we haven't thought of before. So we want that feedback. We want those questions.
Has everybody had a chance to kind of go through at least preliminary the programs? Yes? Show of hands? Awesome. Hopefully online our folks have had a chance to look at them as well. I'm going to let Jen kind of lead with this, since programs is her baby, and or one of her babies anyway. And so go ahead, Jen. Start off with whatever you want.
P.S. I have no real babies, only a fur baby. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do a brief description of each program, and then I'm going to talk about how the program used to be in comparison to the changes. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So we did have 4 funding programs, but we condensed them into 3. So you'll hear me say travel programs or project programs. So travel programs are things where you will obviously travel, whereas project programs are things that are about projects specifically, whether it be a demo, marketing funding, full-length sound recording, whatever. It's for a specific project. So 2 of our programs do have the same name that they did before, the Market Access and the Professional Development Program. I'll start first with Professional Development. So this, and we do have copies of the criteria up here if anybody wanted to come up and grab them while we go along.
One in each folder. Take one from each folder, because it's all 3 programs, and that way you'll be ready when we get to the next one.
And be careful of the cable. Safety first, accidents are preventable. At the buffet table.
Programs buffet. Right?
Welcome, welcome. Enjoy your meal. All right, folks online, just one moment here now. I'll get everyone cleared away. Yep. Yes, for anybody online, if you go to musicnl.ca and you click funding, these changes will be there online under internal funding programs. And the three names of the programs that we'll be discussing are professional development, market access, and the artist development program. Okay, so we'll start with professional development. So professional development is a program that you can access for multiple different things. You can, a lot of our business members will access this particular program. So if they were, say, managing a band, they will access this program to go to Canadian Music Week to represent that band. The same way as if there is a bass player who wants to go study with some bass phenom in New York, you can do that through this program. If you are showcasing at an event, any event anywhere around the world, you'd access this program for that. So it's for one-off travel and it's for development for you as an artist. So you need to put out a project there that's going to contribute to your career as an artist, and then hopefully you can bring back that wealth of knowledge back to the province. The same way as if you do a showcase, we kind of look at that like it's a professional development opportunity for you too, because it's not a full-on tour. So there is no deadlines for this particular program, which is really cool. The only thing that we ask is that you have your application in at least 2 weeks in advance of your project start date. We acknowledge that things pop up and opportunities pop up for artists that sometimes you need to leave right away. So we put that 2 weeks in. So the project start date needs to be at least 2 weeks ahead. We then review the applications once a month. So sometimes, depending on when you submit, you might need to wait. It could be maybe 4 to 5 weeks before you. That's if you submitted an application one day and we had a meeting the night before. So it's only under different circumstances that you'd have to wait that long. But general wait time is about 4 to 5 weeks. We changed the eligible expenses amount for this particular program. We are still allowing 100% of your eligible expenses. Before, it used to be $1,500 in Canada and $25 outside of Canada, and it didn't matter what kind of membership that you had. Whereas now we're breaking our travel programs into the difference between a solo member and a band. What was happening is solo members were accessing the same amount of money as a full band, which just financially just didn't make a lot of sense, because a band obviously is multiple people. We consider a group to be at least 3 or more individuals, so just a heads up there. So now the eligible expenses amount is going to be $1,000 for a solo member inside of Canada and $2,000 for a group inside Canada. Outside of Canada, $2,000 for a solo and $4,000 for a group. It is highly recommended that everybody contact the office with their project before they apply to anything anyway, just so we can go over it and make sure that everything is looking good. We also changed our payment process. Everything used to be pending your final report, so you'd submit your receipts in. Once you submitted your final report and I processed it, then you'd get your check. Whereas now we're actually issuing 40% upfront and then 60% upon completion of your final report, which is really good. A lot of people were struggling with the money thing on the upfront. A lot of people's visas were burning a bit. So that hopefully will alleviate that for people. You will have to sign a contract, of course. The contract details are pretty straightforward. I do have a copy here if anybody would like to take a look at a general contract, but the contract is, it's pretty straightforward. We're not asking for your firstborn or anything. We're just asking that you submit in the final report and the appropriate materials in order to get the money reimbursed. If you don't hand in the final report, you are not going to get back the money. And then you'll have to reimburse us for what we gave you up front. But that's not going to happen, because we're all going to take care of it. So we don't need to worry about that, because that's going to be fine. So obviously you need to be a MusicNL member. You need to be a member for at least 6 months before you can access these bigger levels of funding. And throughout the running of a year, a solo member can access this program up to a maximum of $4,000 per fiscal year. A group can get $8,000 per fiscal year. And that will always renew itself March 31st of every year. When the new fiscal year rolls in, your tally will go back to 0. The application process itself will ask you for a bunch of written materials, which you will then submit online. We don't take any paper copies of any applications anymore. Everything is going to be completely electronic, which, you know, I noticed like the Rogues are here. They did one of the most incredible press kits I had ever seen, but I can just imagine it cost them so much money, but it was so amazing. But what was happening is people were spending so much on those projects, so we're hoping that that with the electronic process that everyone kind of stays fair and whatever, but
Presentation is still important, but it doesn't have to break your bank. You know, you can still do it visually as opposed to physically, you know, moving forward.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, what you hand in still needs to be professionally presented, and even if you can it up and make it the look and feel of the group too, that's definitely appreciated. Plus, submission at this point, you know, we're wanting everything to be much more professional in the submission process. So if you don't mark your files correctly, if you don't zip the folder up before it actually gets submitted to Dropbox, we're not taking it. So we're getting very sticklerish, but that's what we need to do so that the accountability for our members, our board, our government, our sponsors and whatnot. So, but I think it's going to be good.
I mean, even right down to your MP3s, because I get a lot of MP3s and they don't have the name, and it just gets lost in a sea of MP3s. So you've got to name them, and you've got to like make sure your band name is there or a solo artist or whatever. Yeah. It's really important.
Yeah. So for this particular program, the professional development one, you would have to hand in some written documents, which is the general stuff that you've been used to, budget, biographies, professional history, application form, project agenda. If you're doing a showcase or a festival in particular, so say if you're going to Canadian Music Week, we need to see the invite. We need to see proof of the showcase upon receipt of the application. Your eligible expenses, we added some things there too. So your eligible expenses would be travel, so any travel to the festival or event. So planes, trains, automobiles, whatever. Any accommodations, but you can't sleep on your buddy's couch and then get him to write you a receipt, not gonna go. But we will do like Airbnb because that's an actual official receipt from the website. But you can't sleep on buddy's couch and for him to write your receipt, that's not gonna work. Government's not gonna like that one. Any specific promotional material that you might have, so say if you're printing posters or something for a showcase, or maybe you did a Facebook group that you're promoting online, that's also an eligible expense. And conference and delegate fees are going to be an eligible expense now too, which sometimes they can get unbelievably expensive. Something like Canadian Music Week, you're looking at $800 to $1,000 sometimes for your delegate pass. But just a heads up, only 50% of that particular one is going to be reimbursed. We also, there's going to be a lot of those like kind of little details, like so say if you take your car, mileage is going to be your eligible expense, and there's going to be a mileage form that you'll receive. If you're going to access per diems, then there's a per diems form that you are going to receive, but I'll work with you guys on that to make sure that you are accessing the proper things and to let you know, okay, if you're accessing conference fees, you can only be 50%. So I know it can be a lot of the weird number details, but I will work with the applicant to make sure that that's all clear and that all is well there.
We all will, even if you know, if Jen's not in the office, Patrick and I will work, you know, just as diligently with you.
Absolutely. Ineligible expenses, we put in a few of them there, But you know, they're all listed there for the most part. It's all pretty straightforward if anybody wanted to take a look at what they were. And of course, if anybody has any questions, how decisions are made. The two travel programs have a committee made up of a minimum of 3 industry professionals and a government liaison, and there's somebody from the board on there too. Like I said, they meet once a month, and whatever you submit to the committee, that's the ones that will be taking a look, and if you have any questions for them, I think we will accept an appeal, I guess, if you wanted to write them a letter if there was any issue. But let's see. Underneath this program, too, we have this real cool kind of side subsidy thing that exists that I always say to members, if anything, get a membership for this because it's pretty incredible. We have this side subsidy of this particular program that we call MusicNL travel subsidies. And we allow travel subsidies members to travel to the ECMA event, wherever it is, and the MusicNL event, wherever it is. You fill out a form, you know, do a little bit of paperwork, but it's pretty much guaranteed for you as a member. It's guaranteed. And you'll get back, you know, it's a lot of money that we work with. Some years we've given back 40%, some years we've given, and some years we've given back 100%, depending on how many members actually traveled to the event. But that's pretty much an automatic thing for you as a member. So for a solo member who pays $50 for their membership, if you go to ECMAs in, you know, Fredericton, you're going to get that $50 back pretty quickly, even if we only give back 40%. So just that program exists, and if you want to access it, we will send out information about that about a month before the ECMA event or the MusicNL event. Just keep your eyes peeled for it. And if you miss the information, just contact us, and we'll let you know how to access it. Does anybody have any questions on this program?
Can you say your name, Ross? Can you get up to the mic?
We're going to put you on the spot. Say your name and your question, my dear.
Hello, I'm Rosalind McPhail. I have a question about travel. In regards to the flight, since flights are so expensive with suitcases for all of our gear, are we allowed to include the fees that are additional to our plane ticket for our luggage that
Like
hold tables
fees.
and instruments?
Yes, but we'd probably have to run that past the board.
I'm going to say yes, too.
Okay.
But, I mean, the board, yeah.
Yeah.
Something that you can't, like, you
Yeah.
have to pay. So,
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
so we'll run that past the board, but I don't see any problem with that.
That
Thank
is a
you.
good point. That is a good point. Any other questions on this professional development program? Questions, concerns? Sure, Peter.
Yeah, if everybody could come up to the mic when you have a question, that would be amazing, and say your name also for the online listeners.
Okay, and I'm Peter. Yeah, I perform under the moniker Peter Youngtree. I was just curious about, it's $1,000 for a solo member, $2,000 for a group of 3 or more. Is there a middle ground for a duo, or is what's the duo amount?
Duo goes under the solo. It's the same. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Nice.
So you would have to split that with whoever your duo partner is.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
We do, there's also the whole side musician thing. So we do accept, you know, side musicians. So say if there is a solo member that is traveling with side musicians, we do accept them as part of the group. There needs to be 3 or more. They also got to sign the per diem forms just like any other member. But we, your side musician that you're hiring, we have a fly here. Your side musician that you're hiring must be a resident of Newfoundland and Labrador. And they kind of are going to take the same criteria that you have, and that you need to leave Newfoundland and come back to Newfoundland. That's a whole thing with this program too. You need to travel outside the province to access it. So unfortunately, you know, we don't do interprovincial funding at this time. So say you were invited to Writers at Woody Point, that's not something we could fund at this time. Maybe down the road, but the point of these programs and the thing behind them that happened years ago, Danny Williams, God love him, I know that's probably not everyone's opinion, but I digress. He was he was the one who a big part in getting this funding in place, and it was because of us being on an island, and it was so hard for us to get off and for us to access new markets. So that's why the program still lies that you need to travel out of the province in order to access it.
And although with per diems you can pay cash, I mean, that's part of the reason why you have to get whoever you're paying to sign on. It's not a good idea to pay cash. Like if you can, pay by check or even an e-transfer, you've got a receipt then, and it's proof of payment, which is kind of what we need for government. So it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah. Also, the final report process is going to be a little bit different. It's going to make my life a lot easier. We used to require original receipts, but kind of the days of original receipts are kind of gone now. Most people's receipts are just received by email now anyway. So we just checked it out to make sure everything was fine with our accountants and government and whatever. So now you don't need to submit the original receipts, which is great. So you can really submit, most people can probably just submit their scanned copies and just send it right to the email. You don't even need to look at us. We can even put your check in the mail. But so just a heads up that the final report process will be a little different. Sherry, do you have a question?
Hi, thanks. My name is Sherry. Our question is, for the travel subsidy, do we need a formal invitation to showcase or travel in order to access it, or can it just be something that you suss out yourself?
I think it depends on the situation. If it's an event, a festival or event case, you are going to need the official invite. But you could come at it from a different angle. This is what I'm good at, people. It's coming at it from a different angle. So say you don't have a showcase at CMW, but you've researched it and there's a bunch of industry professionals there that you'd like to meet. You booked some meetings with them. You're going to do some work with some artist. Make it about your conference and your experience and how you're going to get professional development from that angle.
So reach out to individuals if you don't get a showcase to say, I'm going to network and meet with this person
Yes.
for this purpose.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
But you should make that very clear in your application and your marketing or whatever your goals and highlights are about that. Make sure that you actually contact the people, get there. Yes, they'll meet with you, and put that list in your application because it'll take it a lot further if you do that. And then on the back end, when you submit your file, you'll have to say who you did meet with and what happened. Some things change, obviously, but it's always a good idea to make sure that, you report on that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, even though a solo member and group member can access a maximum amount per application, the committee isn't not necessarily going to give you that maximum amount. They might look at the project and think, oh well, they're just doing a showcase. Let's pay for their flight. They might. Now, if you did a showcase, but then you ended up gearing up a bunch of meetings, you looked at the conference schedule, and you did your homework, and you're really proving to the committee that you're really going to make the most of this trip, the probability of you getting more money is going to go up. So, they want to see that you've done your homework, you understand what the program is about, and that you are going to get as much out of your funding as you can possibly get. So just a heads up there.
Matt Dines. Hi. My question is, as a member of a band and also a solo person, maybe writer or producer or whatever, if I want to travel under the professional development program, do I need to maybe register as a independent MusicNL membership and then apply under that for that funding? And then if I'm doing work with my band, I apply under that? Or how do the limits work there, and how does that work?
You would have to have separate memberships.
Okay.
So the applicant is the person doing the project or doing the travel. So if you are going to study with somebody as Matt Dines and as a producer, Matt Dines needs to have the membership.
Okay.
Whereas if you're going to showcase at an event as Rocket Ship,
Sure.
Rocket Ship needs the membership.
Cool.
We have members with multiple memberships, and they access funding under multiple different hats, whether it be, you know, as a business member, a solo artist, or a group, and they access them under the different memberships. So
Which I have to say is quite amazing, because I've been a grant writer for 20 years, and it's like, this program alone is amazing for self-managed artists. So take advantage of it, you know.
I have a question. It's kind of piggybacking on Matt's question. Cassandra Abbott. So I play in a duo that we're going to be applying for some funding, hopefully. But both of us have separate memberships. And I guess with the time limit thing, that's my question with regards to we could apply for a membership as a group, but we won't have the 6 months. So I guess how?
if you have an ongoing membership, 6 months is waived.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's just a heads up to everybody here. If you have an ongoing membership as a solo or a group or in a business, and you want to get port of call to
Yep.
have a band member as port of call, 6 months is waived for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions on the professional development program? Isn't this information fun? Exciting times. Okay, if there's no more questions on that particular one, I'll move on to our market access program, which is our other touring program. Our travel program, I should say, but this one is for touring in particular. So, we, again, this one, this particular application will share the same committee as the professional development committee, because it's both about travel and they both share a lot of the same eligible expenses. Our definition of a tour is at least 6 out of province dates in at least 3 different municipalities. That's the minimum. We would like to see more than that. We also would like to see, you know, if you can get more than that, don't just get more than that just for the sake of it. You know, there's definitely, you know, quality over quantity to an extent also. We want to see where you're playing, and if you're sharing shows with people, what the venue's like, what the capacity is like, things of the sort, and to show that you did your homework. If you're a metal band, maybe don't do a coffee shop, maybe. You know, and vice versa. If you're a folk person, maybe don't do the metal bar or whatever. Just do your research before you book your tour. Always nice to have local connections, share some shows with local bands and things of the sort. Again, the actual increments for what people could access under this program changed, depending on solo or group and inside Canada and outside Canada. So, for a solo artist tour in Canada, $1,500 is the maximum amount. For a group tour in Canada, $5,000. For a solo artist going out to Canada, it'll be $2,500, and for a group, it'll be $4,000. And again, a group is 3 or more individuals. Eligible expenses will be your travel and accommodations, per diems, specific promotion to the tour itself, and again, the side musician fees that we talked about. And again, we will issue you 40% up front and then 60% upon receipt of the final report. And again, it must begin in Newfoundland, Labrador and end in Newfoundland, Labrador. And your receipts and travel need to reflect that. And like the other program, must be a member in good standing, 6 months, things of the sort. You also must have a commercially released recording to go out on the road. So if you're going out on the road, you need a product. You need to be a product that you're shopping. If not, then, you know, maybe wait till you do have a product to shop on the road. So that will be a requirement too. And it got to be a commercially released thing, something that's manufactured, something that's you're selling.
And your current project.
Yeah. Applicants will be limited to maximum annual funding, like I said before. So for a solo artist, you can get $5,000 per fiscal year, and for a group, you can get $8,000 per fiscal year. And so, say if you you know, you applied multiple times, but one time you only accessed 7,000 and one time you accessed 4,000 and whatever. All those numbers will equal up. So don't think that 8,000 means only just 2 applications. It actually means right to the dollar. You know, so you can apply multiple times depending on the increments that you're accessing. You know, the application is going to be, again, similar to your professional development, project description, objectives, complete budget, professional history, a marketing plan, the actual application form, your tour itinerary, and things of the sort will need to be accompanied on that application. Again, I will go over this stuff with you before you submit, just to make sure everything's in line. We will give you mileage forms for, again, for people who are taking their own vehicle, and per diem forms for people using those. And ineligible projects are going to be, you know, professional development activities, which obviously are getting under the professional development program. Obviously, you need to have a performance component for this particular one if you have less than 6 dates or less than 3 municipalities. And if you do not end or start in Newfoundland and Labrador, and of course, you know, even though this does have rolling deadlines, you still need to have it in at least 2 weeks in advance. So, and again, it goes to the same committee. And I think that might be it somewhat.
You can have like promotional dates as under that 6, just so everybody's aware. Like if you're playing live on a radio station or a TV station, like those count, just so you know. So keep that in mind as well. The other 4 can be paid gigs, and those 2 can be promotional. But you can't have more than 2, I think, under the 6.
Yeah, that stuff is definitely encouraged, those promotional radio things or any type of media things. But again, you want to strive for more than 6. You do. You want to get as much as you can out of the project, especially if you're, you know, if you're going to Europe. Maybe you want to tour Atlantic Canada before you tour Europe. Maybe that's going to make the most sense. We've gotten that before. So realistically, if you haven't toured Western Canada, you know, hit your own backyard first. It's going to make sense. The committee are going to look at, you know, oh, you're just going to Europe. Maybe you should tour here first and then work your way out. So
have a story to tell.
yeah, be realistic in your touring, and maybe start in Canada. Realistic and strategic. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions on that touring program? Yes, please.
Okay, Rosalind here again. For touring outside of Canada, particularly the US, can we include our expenses for P2 visas? And the same thing for Europe. Can we include our expenses for anything to do with visas?
Again, we'd have to take that to the board, I think. But I would think no for that, because I don't know any other funding agency that does allow it. I understand that it's
Because the
expensive.
US is ridiculous, and,
Yeah.
and it's one of the biggest things that holds us artists back, is that
Yeah.
expense.
Yeah, I have a feeling that one might not fly, but we'll definitely take it to the board for sure.
Thank you.
And ask.
I know that was taken to the board last year, and
Like Factor doesn't even allow.
yeah, we did some research on it, and there was no funding bodies that did. But I know it's so expensive. I mean, sometimes the visas can be 7, 8, 9, 10 grand, depending on what you're doing.
Depending on how quickly you need
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, but it's something that we can bring back, to the board. Any other questions on our touring funding? Yeah.
Say if you're doing Donnie, love, nice to see you. Yeah, if you were doing like you have your product and you wanted to do like a marketing media tour, and you wanted to do just a promotional tour just for all the radios and TV networks, and is that acceptable, or does it have to be like?
You wouldn't do any gigs, you mean?
Well, you would do gigs, but like a promo tour. Say if you locked off all the radio stations and hit them in television and did So
I would put that in a marketing application.
yeah,
As part of your marketing plan,
yeah,
because I think you have to have 4 paid
Yeah.
gigs for this particular program.
yeah.
Only 2 promotional. That's it.
So do the promotional and then get a gig,
Just add it to your marketing.
or get a gig in the town when you're doing it.
Yeah, or if you want
Okay.
to, if you want to do the promotional part and you're touring, yeah, you can add. You can have more than 2. It's just that 4 definitely have to be paid
Yeah.
for this
Okay.
program.
All right. Cool. All right.
Any other questions on our touring programs at all? Yes. Name.
Gordon Huckster. This one is really specific.
Okay.
It's
You
so.
you guys should always say your band name too.
Oh,
That would be helpful.
I play in a duo called Everglow, and where we're going on that tour in August, it's going to be like a charity tour. But if we were to play dates on the way there, and then go on that tour, would that kind of be considered the same trip? Because we're worried that where we're going to end up in Hamilton, go on the road again, and then come back, and then end up in Newfoundland like 4 months later, if that would still be eligible under this program.
You're leaving Newfoundland and coming back to Newfoundland.
Yeah, doesn't the
Yeah.
time doesn't matter, does it?
Well, and again, I mean, yeah, as long as you fit all the criteria, and again, the committee is going to review everything on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
You know, if you know if it's legitimately part of the tour and they feel like it's a good investment opportunity on their behalf, because that's how they're looking at things.
Right.
Is it a good investment opportunity for province of Newfoundland and Labrador's dollar? So as long as you're, coming back to Newfoundland, you're leaving Newfoundland, coming back to Newfoundland, you're hitting all the other points, should be fine. Now, if you were doing that promotional tour and just that, and say your travel and accommodations were paid for, they were giving you a bit of money, and say your budget came out and you were making $4,000, we're not going to give you any money.
Yeah, so yeah,
So-
because it would mainly be for the dates on the way
Right.
to Hamilton, and
Right.
then maybe some if there's some
Because
left
then it
over the travel back.
Because those are costs incurred getting to Hamilton,
Mhm.
if that's
Yeah.
where that promotional
Yeah.
tour is starting.
Exactly.
So absolutely, if there are costs that you're incurred that your promoter is not paying, then, as long as you meet the criteria, then it should work.
Excellent. Awesome. Thanks.
Any other questions? Corey? I'm only kidding. Yes, please do.
Put me on the spot. I might as well get up.
Well, you were talking. I couldn't help myself.
I'm Corey Pike. Just wondering, I remember you talked to me about this a while ago with like funding and stuff. Is the committee still within local that decides on it?
That particular one, yes. The next one we're going to talk about, no. That's one of our biggest changes.
You should, I think it's a good change. I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's natural. If somebody that you know is picking something, I think it's natural to be biased. If I were picking something, Janelle Chantel, I'm a huge fan of her, and if she's applying for something, just me, no matter how good anybody else is, I'm going to pick her. So if you guys have someone who records people and stuff like that, doesn't it make sense for it to be naturally biased? And not even knocking the people that get it, but
I think, sometimes yes, but I think the
think
people
all
that
times.
actually, no, I think the people that sit on those actually take everything into consideration.
No, I'm not even saying that. No, it's just you don't think it's natural for that to happen? Then
No, I've sat on 1,000 of these, and it's like, I put my personal opinion aside when I'm doing this because I've been asked to. And I think that people do respect that.
to a degree, yeah, I agree. But wouldn't
Yeah.
you think it would? Wouldn't it?
But
cut
that's
out-
why we're introducing,
Yep.
international jurors for the next program.
Okay.
For these ones, I think that it was more important because I argued that point myself. But
I just think it cuts out all questions. If you went to another
but
union,
this is about everybody knowing because if the provincial government wants to fund a tour, they need to know the history of the band instead of somebody getting turned down because of a biased opinion as well.
no, yeah, but if a provincial government is wanting something, am I wrong in saying doesn't MusicNL work within some kind of Canadian music thing? Or music, you guys are connected to like Factors Canadian, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't, do you guys have faith in the rest of Canada? Judgment and stuff?
We're talking about the touring programs and the
I think it should matter. I think it should be like that for everything.
Well, I think the argument that was presented to me was that the committee actually does want pretty much everybody. If you write a really great application, you're going to get some funding. So I think it was important for them to see that it was local judges, because nobody's saying, I don't like that guy.
No,
I'm not
no,
getting,
no,
you know.
I don't doubt that at all. It's just
So for these two in particular, I think it's important for it to be local, or everybody felt that it was important to be local. But for the next one, it needs to be taken outside.
What is the
And
next one?
Well, we're getting to that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Corey, your point is definitely well taken, though, by MusicNL and the board, like, no doubt. It was one of the biggest considerations we had with the change in these programs, because that seemed to be a big issue. Realistically, if you fit the criteria and you do a well-written application when it comes to the travel programs, the success rate, realistically, is probably about 95%. But again, you need to follow the steps and do the application and fit the criteria and do the whole thing. The success rate is really high. Whereas when it came to our demo program and our sound recording program, that's when the success rate was low, because you were actually competing against other members and the whole jury process. So that's the one that we changed to be the outside ones.
Yeah, I think the fear with taking the committee for these two travel programs outside was that somebody from, Germany may not get it. They may not understand where you as a solo artist came from, what you're trying to do. So that's where I think they decided that those two programs probably made more sense to stay local. But the other one definitely, because that's about making new recordings. It's about, marketing and taking your music to an export level. So that definitely needs to go to export, jurors.
So for what I'm getting is, for touring, it's still going to stay within our own buffers.
Yep.
For sound recording, it would go outside.
Exactly.
Well, the new
And-
program, it's not
Yeah,
necessarily just sound recording.
Yeah. Well, that and the MusicNL Awards, that completely changed too. That's no longer just voted on by our members. That is juried now to people all around the world. And we literally had jurors from all around the world last MusicNL week. It was really cool. Europe, the States, Australia, some in Canada. But it was good. And I do think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone would agree that, eh? Outside jurors, yes. Cool. All right, so that brings us to the last program, which one of the big changes is, as Corey, brought up, is the inclusion of outside jurors. We will no longer be doing these juries within the province. So all those people who are terrified, I was going to call them and ask them to be a juror, you worry no more. People were so scared. I was like, nobody wants to be a juror anymore because everyone's terrified that they're going to find, so people are going to find out who the jurors are. But this program is definitely the one with the most changes. So anybody who was used to the demo and sound recording program, they are no more. They are both absorbed in this one along with other things. I just left it there for reference. Yeah. So if you'll see at the top of these sheets, if you took them, I just put sound recording and demo in there just to let you know that it was absorbed into this particular program. So under this program, you can access a number of things. You can do a demo, you can do an EP, you can do a full-length album, you can do one song, you can do marketing and promotion, you can do a multiple different things with this particular program, because it's just projects and it's artist development. So it can be pretty broad in what you want to do and what you want to bring to the table. So the program is going to be broken down into a 3-tier system. And members can apply for 75% of their eligible expenses up to a maximum of the tier amount that they're applying. So the first question I've already got from a bunch of people is, I don't understand the tiers. How do I know what tier I go into? It's completely dependent on your budget. It's completely dependent on your budget to what tier you fall into. So if you know, most likely if you were doing a full length, you know, professionally mixed, mastered, commercially released, you know, the whole gamut product, you might be going for the highest tier, which is 10,000. Maybe if you're just doing, you know, you're doing some demos, recording a single, maybe you would be in one of the first tiers. So we're going to give away, the first tier is 2,500. We're going to give away that 4 per year, 2 per deadline. The next tier is $5,000, 4 per year, 2 per deadline, and then the third tier is $10,000, 4 per year, 2 per deadline. Our 2 deadlines are going to be July 31st, so the July 31st one is coming soon, obviously, and then the next one is going to be December 4th. We will issue a payment of 40% upfront and 60% upon receipt of final report. Of course, if you don't access all that 40%, because, you know, 40% of 10,000 is fairly significant. So say if you don't submit receipts for that full 40%, that is repayable, but no one's going to do that. That's going to be fine. So just a heads up there. If you've already received funding under this program within that fiscal year, you can't apply again. So say if you get it July, you can't apply again for a year down the road, okay? The other maximum of 12 grants will be awarded per each fiscal year. Again, the 4 per tier. As I mentioned earlier, the Rogue's incredible press package. We are only going to take electronic submissions for this program too. Everything's going to be completely electronic. You will submit everything through Dropbox through a link that we will give you. So every deadline there's going to be a different link where you would submit your application into Dropbox. Just a heads up that you won't be able to see anyone else's application. So we have the security set up that we give you a link, you put your stuff in the Dropbox, and then that stuff is then sent out to our jurors, which will be all around the world.
And no one can see yours either, so don't worry about that. Like, that part's all secure.
If you did receive the funding, of course, you'd have to sign some contracts and do some stuff. And then you would have to complete the project within 1 year of being approved. And then, of course, 60% of the funds won't be released until then. As the other programs, you need to be a member for at least 6 months. You need to be a resident of Newfoundland, Labrador, only cover 75%. You need to have a very detailed marketing plan for this particular one. All recordings that are done need to be commercially released, available for purchase, and manufactured if applicable. Pretty much whatever you're putting in your marketing plan, we are going to do the follow-up research to make sure that you actually did that work you said you were going to do. So keep that in mind, whatever you're submitting. Make sure that these are realistic expectations and goals for yourself, because we will be doing the follow-up work. Recordings completed in a MusicNL member studio will be a preferred eligible expense. It used to be that you could only record within a MusicNL member studio, and you were limited to that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to allow you to go to an outside studio, but there'll be a cap of 25% on the eligible expenses that you can access there. So we have moved that up a little bit to make that a bit wider for people. Projects started but not released will be eligible for funding. So if you have started your project, you can still apply, but we won't do anything retroactively. So whatever you are applying for, the receipts must be dated after the time that you submitted your application in order for those to be applicable. Even if the project had already started, that's fine. It's just we can't reimburse you on receipts before the application date. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, with this one, the most important thing is the detail budget matching your marketing plan. Just really work with you know, go through your motions and do your plans, but then run it past us, and you know, show us before you submit, so that we can, you know, give you tips or advise if we think something's lacking, or you know, let us know when you're ready to submit. We can check out your social media to see if maybe there's, you know, you need to increase some things there a little bit. But those two things are probably two of the most important things in this particular. But you can do, the thing that I'm excited about with this is that it gives you so much more freedom as an artist to create and to market and to, you know, take your music and your brand, because it's about branding these days. So to take that to another level, and if you only need $2,500, then that's the one you should apply for. If you're making a, you know, if you're documenting your tour, you know, maybe it's the $5,000 one that you need. You know, be realistic about your budget and about what you want to access, because you do only get that one chance per year. So just, you know, talk to us about it before you submit.
Absolutely, highly recommended. Because we will go over it with you. We'll make sure it's the best one moving forward. So please, that's what we're there for. So please come and discuss all the projects before you submit. Peter?
This is Peter again. I was just wondering, I mean, like, YouTube's so important these days. So much music's discovered through YouTube. Could you use this to make a video for an already existing recording in order to promote it? I mean, a video is really, to use that terminology, like marketing your brand, kind of getting yourself out there, showing what you are to the world, and is a great way to kind of market your music and get it seen and heard. Is that an eligible expense, an eligible thing to do with this?
It is, but it has to be a current project. Like, you couldn't take a record that was out 2 years ago.
Right.
That, and you can't make a full-on music video with this program. You can't. It's just, but if you want to do an EPK or some type of video that's for marketing and promotion specifically.
Like I said, like, you know, capturing your tour or
Okay.
doing.
But you can't do a music video.
No,
Yeah.
no. But
For creating content.
But stay tuned on the music video thing.
Yeah.
Because we are hoping to have something launched on the music video front as soon as possible. We're pairing up with some of our pals in the Film Development Corporation, and we do plan on introducing a pilot project, so stay tuned for music videos specifically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I guess the NLAC, separate from this, the
Yeah.
Arts Council is something that you could, if you want to do a music video right now, currently,
No.
you can't apply
No,
through those
and
either.
that's
Well,
yeah.
that sucks.
That's what we do. These the program officers in the local, so the MEs in the different arts industries. We all met. We meet 4 times a year just to talk about stuff, and we kind of all realized in one meeting that none of us fund music videos, which is obviously a huge gap. I mean, music videos are huge now. You know, if you don't have a video on YouTube, then you know you're nothing really. You know, so that content is extremely important. So we do acknowledge it, and we're working on it. So hopefully sooner than later.
However, I will say, if you want help setting up your Factor portal, they actually offer it. I can also help you with Much Fact. They offer viral videos and commercial videos. And if anybody wants to come into the office and talk to me about it, happy to do so. If you don't live here, call me. You know, I can help you with that.
Absolutely. Cool.
Thanks. Yep.
Just a side note before I forget, if anybody receives that big $10,000 funding tier, you may have to take some business training through MusicNL, depending on where you are in your career. If you don't have a demonstrated proven track record, we want to be able to coach you a little bit through the funding just to make sure that all is well. So just a heads up there. So probably to go further on what Peter was talking about, eligible expenses under this program would include Again, nothing retroactively, so no expenses incurred before the date. So any production or pre-production, mixing, producer fees, engineer fees, musician fees, mastering, manufacturing, design, and layout, if applicable, and any marketing and promotion costs, which would include website, printing costs for release, so posters, invitations, etc., social media marketing, advertising costs, promotional videos, but it needs to be promotional videos. Yes, and that's it. So we won't cover any management or legal fees, equipment purchases. Also, we will recognize up to 25% of its contribution for marketing and promotion only. For expenses occurred outside of province Newfoundland and Labrador. Again, trying to keep things within the province, but not completely limiting you. We also won't cover travel and accommodations in these particular programs. That's what the travel programs are for. Also, we used to, anybody who's accessed this program before, I know there's a few of you in the room, we won't accept donated services anymore. That's a thing of the past, unfortunately, single tier. But, yeah, so we're not doing donated services anymore, and we're not going to pay for album release party stuff anymore either. So a heads up there. So the assessment process, which was, again, the big thing that we took out of our first town hall and our surveys. So all these applications are going to go to a peer jury of industry professionals that will be outsourced outside the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. It's going to be made up of 5 industry professionals. And all the stuff that you submit in that Dropbox is exactly what they're going to see. So even in the presentation, make sure that everything is labeled correctly. It's all zipped up nice in a folder, and it's easy to read and understand, and in order. So they will be screened first by me to make sure that all is well. So if there's any issues, I will go back to you and make sure that it's all good.
However, if Jen, it isn't her job to check your work. So let's make that very clear, that everybody needs to be responsible. We're trying to elevate your business sense. So if you guys can, make sure you double, triple check your own work before you get to us. Because if we miss something and it gets rejected because something isn't there, then there's nothing we can do about that. Okay? So just be really careful when you're preparing your zip file. And that's the other thing. We will only be accepting zip files. So we will post a process just in case somebody doesn't know how to make a zip file, like me. We'll post it on the site by the end of the week, how to do that, just so everybody's aware if you're not. And we also, it'll only be online applications, as Jen had mentioned before. And what MusicNL will do, we'll provide a link by email or by e-blast. The travel programs, the link will refresh on a monthly basis. So you won't be able to use an old one. You'll always have to use the new one. And for the artist development, the link will be every 6 months. Once the deadline passes, there'll be a new, fresh link. And inside the zip file, no links will be accepted. So it has to be, and again, we'll post all this online for you guys, but all the forms have to have your name, like we said before, document type, and it's going to be specific types. So it'll be like a Word doc or a docx file, a PDF, an Excel file for a budget. If it's a video that you want to upload, MP4, AVI, FLV, or MOV files. We cannot accept links because they don't always work, and if we're sending this stuff around the world for people to adjudicate, it has to work. So double check your files too before you submit them as well.
And then I'll go to Terry.
Thank you. Sherry again. Couple questions. Under the old demo grant program, it used to be that you could record your demos in one studio and then actually do your recorded project in another studio. Under this one, do you prefer one consistent producer / recorder, or does it matter?
Don't matter.
That's the same thing.
Don't
Okay.
matter.
So, and I guess,
It's listed in your plan.
okay,
It's listed in your budget.
right, because oftentimes it can be cheaper to do the demo. We all know that.
Yes.
And then when you actually get it, and I guess the quality of the demo was my next question. Obviously, if it's going to be judged and outsourced, you don't, does that mean now that the bar is set a little bit higher in terms of what you submit for your demo, for the application?
Yeah, I would say so.
A safe guess there.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to spend $10,000 to submit the application. Like, just make sure that, the vocal take is great, that it's clear, that it's a good song is a good song. It doesn't need to be overdone in recording when you're present, when you're just presenting it, saying, what you should do, though, is in your application, you should say, this is what I want to do to it, production-wise. So talk to your producer that you want to work with. Make sure they give you the outline of what they're going to do to that track so that when somebody's looking at it, it's really clear. They're hearing a voice and a guitar or a voice and piano or whatever it is, but they're looking at exactly how you're going to produce it and what's going to happen if we give you this funding.
So if we submit just vocal and just a guitar accompaniment, as long as you specifically outline what other instruments, as you say. Now, how specific is it different in this program? How specific do you want the harmonies and the instruments? And does
It
have to
depends
be-
on who the judge is. If they're in England and that's important to them, I would get into this is how we want it to sound, or get into more of a this is what we're trying to attempt. Use examples. You're the artist that inspired you or for this, or we want this kind of a sound, or it sounds like this record, so that they have something to gauge it by, what you're trying to reach, what your goal is. I think that's really important. If you're going for the funding for a sound recording. If you're going for marketing, then obviously your focus should be on something else completely, right?
Okay, thanks. And then my other question was, and sorry if you answered it when I was in the washroom, the press kit EPK / website. Did you already say there's a sample for us to go by to use as sort of a standard?
Like
Or-
a template.
Is there a
type thing?
template? Yes.
Not necessarily.
No, but I have tons of those, so you could contact me and I could show you if you wanted to see some.
Okay, thanks.
Also, anybody applying to these programs too, and just a bit further to Sherry's point, if it's a rough demo, put in the application it's a rough demo.
Yeah.
This is a rough demo recorded live off the floor at the ship on October 3rd or whatever.
This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So, I mean, these judges are all going to be industry professionals. They're going to be able to say, okay, this is a brand new artist. This is totally live off the floor. And then, take them through where it's going to go. I'm going to add strings. I'm going to add harmonies. I'm going to do this, that. And that way, if they feel that there's something lacking in the song, then you're kind of giving them that picture. I will, there was something else I had to say, but I forgot now. It's all good. But Terry Campbell online was asking, as a trumpet player with many different groups in St. John's, if I were to apply as a solo artist and wanted to study with an international artist or teacher, would this fall under professional development? Would lesson fees be an eligible expense, or would studying have to be in the context of a workshop? Terry, that would definitely be professional development. We can talk about the details of what that would be. We won't pay like a tuition per se, but we can do conference fees to an extent, and then we can also cover your travel and accommodations. But I said, Terry, the best thing would be is to shoot us an email so we can talk about the details to make sure that your project moving forward falls underneath all the criteria. What was Sherry's last question? Drawing a blank, what I was going to say. It's all good. Must have been a lie. Oh, yeah, websites. Yeah, that's, thank you. Anybody applying for any programs, make sure that before you apply that your social media is looking pretty tight. make sure that that all your websites are updated. Try and get, maybe boost up those Facebook likes or Twitter followers or whatever. Make sure everything's up to date. There's nothing worse than going on a band site and seeing that their last post was in like 2009. Like, make sure everything is fresh and up to date, because these people are going to be Googling you. They want to see that you have an online presence and that you're active in your online presence. So just a heads up there too. Yeah.
Peter Youngtree again. I'm just wondering, is there any like social media that is kind of deemed more important than others, like Facebook more important than Twitter, etc.?
I don't know. I mean, Facebook and Twitter are definitely the biggies. I would also say, as artists, it's nice to, have some YouTube content. Instagram, SoundCloud, your own .com if you can. But again,
all those links in it.
yes, yeah. Now again, for like an artist just starting out, we're not expecting you to have, crazy presence. But for people that are applying for that big tier, that $10,000 tier, we want to see that your web presence is on the go. In all those mediums for the most part. But
And by presence, you mean like number, not just your own postings and stuff, but how many people are following you?
Bit of both,
and
yeah.
everything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Just try and do as much as you can,
Yeah.
to increase whatever it is, come up with a clever, plan or something that people are going to react to,
Yeah.
It's important. It's also important to any other funding organizations such as Factor or the Arts Grants or any of those places to see
Yeah.
that you're active in social media.
The reason I asked is because I was talking to another band, member of the Beauregards, who toured here recently, and I was kind of talking about how, I'm getting more Facebook likes now, but my Twitter followers have been at like 11 since, I don't know, forever, because whatever reason. I don't know, maybe I don't
Maybe
know.
you're not tweeting enough.
I'm tweeting like every couple of days, but
Have
mostly
you
via
followed people?
Instagram. So, but anyway, what she said was that, well, she's like, really like the Facebook, if your Facebook page likes are going to be the big determiner anyway, more so than like your Twitter followers. But I was wondering,
think it
is that?
depends on who you are and
Yeah.
who follows you. I really do. That's a blanket statement. You have to pay attention to your own social media and the stats and say, what am I doing wrong? How can I increase this? Do what you did. Talk to other people, but talk to other like-minded artists that might help benefit you, in the sense, like, don't talk to somebody that's out of your realm of musicality, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna think about bands that you tour, that you'd want to, your dream list of bands that you'd want to tour with, check out their social media, see what they're doing. Maybe it'll spark some ideas.
Thanks.
Patrick keeps giving me these looks. Oh.
Couldn't hear me?
Yeah.
Some of us are not all there with computers, like me.
Say that again, and this is.
Can we have like a Corey Pike, I don't know, like a workshop for computer stuff? I don't
Absolutely.
even know what Instagram is. So I certainly wouldn't know how to set one up.
Maybe you should Google it.
Do what with it?
What's that now? Actually, we did talk about that. We talked about doing kind of like just a general computer, social media kind of crash course type thing. So yeah, we've definitely discussed it. Think it's a good idea. Like, I still don't understand half of it, but
Maybe it'll just be me there, but I don't know.
that's all good.
You, Jen, and me.
There we go.
yeah.
For sure.
Now, while I'm here, can I ask something completely off topic? Is there anything? I don't know if you guys can help. Is there like a decimal thing for like police with rehearsals and stuff?
11 o'clock, yeah.
kind of, but like, well, I don't know. It's after happening to us twice, where they'll come and she's telling us that like, hear it on the street. Like, she's only responding to a call too, which is her job. But I don't know. I think Fred was saying. No, she told us that if she can hear it on the street, she can come tell us to shut it down.
Hey, Corey, maybe we can talk about this after we're done.
Okay.
We've only got a few more minutes
You
left.
should check with the
so-
police on that though. See if you can get some kind of like standard.
I'll give him a call on that tomorrow. All right, just to clue up so we can start opening up to more questions. Again, everything is going to be submitted completely electronically. We highly encourage you to go over this stuff with us before you submit. We will go through it. We'll tell you what's right, what's wrong. That's what we're there for. So please, use that resource, please. Anything that is commercially released, manufactured, we are going to want to see the logos of MusicNL and the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador on those projects. Also, any promotional materials, videos, online streaming sites, things like that. Anything that's funded underneath this program, we are going to want to see logo placement. I have the application form here for the program too, if anybody wanted to take a look at that. Again, everything's electronic, so you can't submit this anyway, but it's just there for you to take a quick look at.
And they will all be in PDF form, but if you're having trouble, like, sometimes the text doesn't work when I'm doing, government grants and things like that. So I'll just print it out and then scan it back up. That's fine. That part's fine. There will be a form, projected goals and expected results. Very important form. It's got like 5 questions on it that asks you to describe why you're applying, how you're going to measure your results, what you expect to get out of whatever you're applying for. It's a really important document because it's going to be one of the first things even before they look at your marketing plan, so that you have a very brief view of, it's basically a short version of your marketing plan. So it's really important to fill this out and fill it out, succinctly, like, really precise, because they'll get all the detailed stuff from your marketing plan. But this just pick the highlights and really, really focus in on that.
Is there any questions on anything? We were that good that there's no questions. I suppose no one's going to call me at the office. Knows it all. Any questions on anything? Forms, different criteria. Any questions online?
What's the current budget you have to work with?
Who's speaking?
Wayne Grace.
Can you do you mind coming up to the mic?
Just a simple question.
Yeah, but people online can't hear you.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
We have people online watching online.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what sort of global budget are you working with?
Can you say your name again?
My name is Wayne Brace.
We give out under 2 of the travel programs, $72,000 each per program, and I believe in the new program that absorbed sound recording and demo is 70, and we give that out in those 3 programs fiscally. So yeah, it's fairly significant, really.
And we don't discourage you going to factor on top of what you get from us or to the arts councils either. So you can do all 3, and we can help you with the factor stuff. So because they will look at what you do get from other places, but we can help you with all of that stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Peter again. I think I've been up here more than anybody, but I'm not. This isn't a question for me. I don't intend to apply for the sound recording or the other projects program now. I guess it's the public good thing. I'm just looking at the deadline of July 31st and thinking that's a month away, and maybe you won't get like the caliber of projects kind of within a month that maybe if you put it ahead to August 31st or something like that, that maybe there'd be better opportunity for more meaningful, kind of more well thought out projects to get produced out of this province if you put the deadline ahead a little bit.
Well, they should have already been working on their project. We have been talking about it being a much more open format, and it should have been June 30th, but because we didn't hear from the government and everything got pushed back, and we have another deadline in December, we had to make it the 31st. But like I said, we're here to work with you. But if you had a project in mind, I think you should have been working on it already.
Yeah, we already pushed it back about like 5 or 6 weeks as it was, so we're kind of limited. But again, we just introduced brand new programs and a brand new process. So, but now, if in some weird chance, like the majority of the projects we get are not good this round, the juries do not have to give out all the money. Say if they're like, the quality just isn't here, I'm just not seeing it, they're not obligated to give out what they're allotted. So I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, me too.
But
Cool.
But it won't be like that next year.
no. Any more questions, comments, concerns?
Okay, this is Sherry. Get my last one. I'm sorry if it seems a little silly. Is there a preference for genres? I know it says in the print that all genres are accepted, but is there a particular favorable trend, shall we say, in folk, pop, rock, metal, etc., trad, or is it anything goes as long as it's good quality? Yeah.
Anything goes.
Anything
as long as
goes.
it's good quality. Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and it's good quality, not just in the music, but presentation of the entire project. That's why we're making it project-based and artist development focused, as opposed to sound recording. Because it's much more than that these days, Your sound recording can be your marketing tool. It's more about your branding, so make sure you know who you are, what kind of, promotional materials you're gonna sell or give away or whatever. I think that's a little more important. So it's the overall view that they're looking at. You as an artist, where you're at, where you want to go, how you're going to get there. That's why that form that I was talking about, projected goals and expected results, is so important, because it'll tell us all that in like 5 questions.
Yeah, and these people that are being selected, they're music industry professionals in multiple different, facets. So they're going to know, the different genres and what to look for. Whereas when it comes to MusicNL Awards specifically, though, we're finding people that are specific to that genre, to review. So if it's the Jazz Blues Award, then, those juries have, expertise in jazz and blues. Whereas this one, it's everything's, in together, all the different projects. But those individuals that will be picked for those juries are picked because they can look at the bigger picture and review all genres.
Yeah, the artist development program is, they're looking at your business plan, basically. So it's not just about the music. It's not just about the music alone. It's not about your marketing plan alone. It's about everything encompassing. If you think about going into a bank and asking them for $10,000, you have to present why would they give it to you. So you have to present that. That's how you have to think about the project and the artist development one. So it's all encompassing.
Tara Thompson online asking about the logos. It'd be nice to have easy access to those for designers who use them on artwork. There is actually regulations with the government logo, so we can't give you easy access. It's a thing. Our logo, sure. Put it everywhere. We want our logo everywhere. But the government one, there is regulations with the government and the Newfoundland Labrador logo. So just a heads up there, Tara, on that. So if anybody did receive that funding, a lot of times they'll get in touch with me and then they'll hook me up with the designer for their album, and then I'll get stuff directly to them. We'll just work through it together. It's fine. But we can't just have it on the website. Whereas a MusicNL one, we give that one away willy nilly. Okay, is there any other questions or anything?
Hey.
Hey.
My name is Stan, and I was wondering what the turnaround is on.
What's your band? Are you solo?
Oh, I play in Isle of Ease, and I was wondering what the turnaround is for, like the July 31st deadline. Like if we have a bunch of expenses this summer, and we're not gonna get, like if you don't hear back until like, September, then it wouldn't really make sense to apply. But if the turnaround's relatively quick,
Are you not gonna do
well,
it?
because you said you don't back reimburse, right, on receipts.
But if you submit on July 31st and
Yeah.
receipts from July 31st onward are cool, if you were approved.
Okay.
Just anything before July 31st is not. But the
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
turnaround, realistically, I mean, this is going to be our first time doing this program to outsource jurors. I don't know,
We don't know yet.
3
I
or
mean,
4 weeks maybe.
Yeah, it could be, as much as 4 weeks. It could be done quicker. If with an online process, it should be quicker.
Yeah.
But because it's new, we're just not sure. It'll be anywhere, like Jen said, from 2 to 4 weeks. But I would expect at least a month.
Okay. And if we have so for receipts and stuff, if we have current fees right now and we can just agree to offset those payments until July 31st, if that works out like that, that's cool too.
What do you mean
Like
offset?
recording,
Just don't pay
payments.
for anything
Yeah,
until.
that's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, until you actually submit the application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks.
And most studios around are going to be cool with that. There's a couple of questions there now. Donnie, Matt, Kelly.
Donnie, love, how are you? An idea to bring forth could be when an artist is ready and has his album and ready to launch, some sort of mentorship or some sort of group personality or someone that could help them in the right way to put them onto it, record labels or connections, or is there any sort of, I know because of you here, you have a lot of connections and you can tap into them, but maybe that's it just for an artist when he's ready to launch seriously. And if he was like a contender and he had a good plan going, or her or a group, that there could be some sort of guidance to get their thoughts and their plans and team up with you guys and put a plan together for special connections or and we can all help that.
Well, I can definitely point you in the right direction,
Yeah.
but I can't do it for you. So, what you could do is you could book a meeting with me, and I could go through what you want to do, where you want to go, what's your next step, and then I can sort of connect you with people that way. But you should really do some research and figure out what labels you're interested in. That would be my first advice, would be to find out exactly where you're headed, and get me a list of goals that you want to reach, the projected goals and expected results. It's like, if you answer those 5 questions, then I can say, well, you should maybe go, try and contact this person or that person for this reason and that reason. But until I see the plan, I couldn't do anything. But yeah, there's definitely, you can call us anytime for that kind of advice.
I kind of knew that, but just for everyone else, people don't know your credentials, and so because you have a great background and you are connected, so it's great to have you here and you guys are working together, and there's a change already, so which is really great. But I think everyone can benefit and help.
Oh yeah,
help
anybody's welcome.
but they can help
anytime.
each other.
Yeah.
I've got a big media background, and we can all. I don't find it any competition, but because we're all doing the different things, but. That's another thing. People get their albums out, and then they're like, "What do I do?" And then their tour is grueling, and it kills you.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
should
a-
definitely talk to each other. Like,
Yeah.
like-minded people helping like-minded people,
Yeah,
I encourage that.
yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
And
thanks.
that's a good point too, Donnie. I mean, Bonnie's been awesome meeting with all the different members and spending time with people individually. And again, that's what we're there for. You know, Bonnie's been hooking people up, you know, all over the country with different contacts and stuff. But it takes that initiative to just come in and sit down and to see, you know, how we can help. Just a random side note to your point too. Any member who accesses the top tier of this particular program, it's most likely going to be a requirement that we're going to have to do some training with them. It's a lot of money. We want to make sure that they're spending it correctly and just giving them support too, especially for people starting out. So that is a good point.
And one other question, maybe people, sometimes it was frustrating with the trying to get the funding, and it was exhausting. And so you try to fund it yourself and go about ways that it was cheaper, that how you can afford to do it. So if you're building an album yourself, you can still have the MusicNL family to be behind you. So if they still never funded it, you can still be involved and be apply for the awards and be included too as well, right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, thanks. All right.
Thanks, Donnie. Matt.
Are these funding programs limited to Canada? Oh, Matt, as Jen said, Matt Dines. Are these funding programs limited to Canada? I know, is it factor money? Is it government money? Limiting,
this
like,
is all provincial.
okay, so
Yes.
there's no limit to Canada, like if the recording needs to happen, or in the States or Europe, or if there's something else happening internationally.
You can record in studios outside of Newfoundland, outside of Canada, etc., but you are going to be limited to a 25% reimbursement rate, whereas if you are in Newfoundland, you aren't limited. So it's just our way to try and keep some money in the province, but still let you go do your thing.
But for marketing and other purposes, it's international. There's no
Yes.
limitations.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? No? Online, we don't see anything? Okay, well, it was nice to see so many faces actually turn out. We've been doing a few of these town hall meetings, and, you know, David brought it up, our last town hall meeting. It was a little discouraging to see that there weren't a lot of people showing up. So we are really glad that a lot of you showed up tonight. It shows that you're actually listening and that you came, so thank you very much.
And I'd also like to say, David, there were 80 people online last time, just so you know.
Everyone stick around, get a pint, have a chat. We're here to chat with you. Paul Brace is going to be doing some open mic good times after, so hang out and sing a tune, and thanks very much, folks, and thanks everyone for tuning in online. Yeah. Holy crap, holy comments. What's that? 124 comments. We haven't had that much. Hi.